They were just minutes away from history. Japan was about to land on the moon. Again. The world watched as the Hakuto R Mission 2, a sleek, private moonlander built by ispace, descended through the silence of space. This was no ordinary landing. It was bold, risky, ambitious. A second chance after their first attempt had already ended in disaster. And this time, everything was going perfectly. Until it wasn't. In the final moments, just 50 meters above the lunar surface, communications stopped. Telemetry flatlined. Then nothing. The silence was deafening. And moments later, confirmation came. Japan's second moon mission had crashed. Why did it happen? What went wrong during those final seconds? Was it a system failure? Or something deeper? And what does this mean for the future of private spaceflight? This wasn't just a failed landing. It was a warning shot. A reminder that space doesn't forgive. And now, we dig into what really happened on June 5th, and why the answers may be more shocking than you think. There was tension in the air. It's not in a control room in Tokyo, not just in live streams, but in the collective hopes of a nation. Japan, through a private company called ispace, was moments away from rewriting space history. The world was watching, not because it was the first time, but because it was the second, a comeback. This wasn't a government mission. This was resilience in machine form, designed to redeem a past failure. The countdown was not just for landing, it was for redemption. For every engineer who worked nights, for every investor who took a chance, for every child watching, dreaming, until silence. They named it resilience, not just as a PR move, but as a promise. Because this wasn't the first time a space had tried. The first Hakuto R mission crashed. But instead of backing down, they rebuilt. Smaller, lighter, smarter. Resilience was not just metal and code. It was pride. It was memory. It was pain, reborn. And as it descended toward the moon, it wasn't just another craft. It was the symbol of human defiance against cosmic odds. What happens when that symbol shatters? Altitude, 50 meters. All systems green, the descent was smooth, the telemetry, the engines, holding, the cameras, tracking, and then darkness. In one moment, every readout froze. Communication stopped. No impact alert. No engine malfunction log. Just silence. For 15 minutes, the world waited. In those minutes, hope and fear waged war. And then came the line that every mission dreads. We've lost the vehicle. Just like that, the moon had claimed another dream. 2023, the first ispace mission misread its altitude and crashed. It was supposed to be fixed in mission 2, but early data shows the same glitch. A bad reading of final height. Could it be? The same bug twice? That's not just tragic, it's terrifying. Because it means our best systems, with millions of dollars and months of testing, still fail at the final step. It forces a bigger question. Are we underestimating the moon? Ispace isn't NASA. It's not ESA. It's a private company. Every second of the mission is also a pitch to investors. Success means funding. Its failure, it's existential. The pressure is a silent passenger on every flight. And on June 5th, that pressure may have cracked the mission. Rushed code. Risky hardware. A timeline driven not by safety, but by headlines. In the rush to be first, are we skipping the steps that matter? If resilience had landed, it would have opened doors. Defense contracts, lunar delivery partnerships, government deals. But that moment vanished. Now the question isn't what comes next, but who still believes. Trust is currency in space exploration, and every crash spends it like cash. One mission can redefine a company, for better or worse. Even though ispace is private, the world sees the flag. Japan was poised to become the fourth nation with a successful soft landing. But the moon doesn't care about reputations. Now, Japan is back in the shadows, while China, India, and the US push forward. This mission was supposed to lift Japan's space image. Instead, it raises doubts. Every crash on the moon leaves a scar, not just in hardware, but in history. Russia's Luna 25 crashed. India's Chandrayaan-2 failed. Now ispace joins the list. The moon is becoming a graveyard of shattered ambition. But with every scar, there's a lesson. The question is, are we learning fast enough? Autonomous landing is complex. AI manages the burn timing, orientation, velocity, and touchdown zone. But what if the AI miscalculates? What if it reads dust as terrain or void as surface? Is resilience proof that we're replacing too much trust in systems we don't fully understand? Maybe the question isn't how smart AI is, but how blindly we believe in it. Onboard Resilience was a mini rover, tenacious, built to crawl across lunar plains, beam back data, and prove mobility on another world. It never got the chance. It's now likely buried, silent, a ghost in lunar dust. Tenacious didn't fail. It never got the chance to try. That's perhaps the most heartbreaking part of all. For one brief moment on June 5, 2025, all eyes tilted upward, not in war, not in protest, but in collective anticipation. The moon, silent and ancient, once again became the center of human ambition. From Tokyo to Texas, from Beijing to Berlin, live streams flickered on, tweets exploded. Engineers sat breathless. Because this was bigger than a company or country. This was humanity daring to touch the impossible again, space. A small Japanese company with big dreams was moments away from landing a robot on lunar soil. It was indeed just a test of metal or code. It was a test of courage in the private era of space exploration. The moon had seen flags, footprints, rovers, but now it was watching us try again. Not with nations, but with resilience. And then silence. The world didn't witness triumph. It witnessed stillness. Data flatlined. Communication ceased. Hopes hung midair. Will be the same eyes watching it again, when the next attempt rises from the dust. And as seconds turned to minutes, the tone changed. Excitement dissolved into confusion, confusion into dread. Mission Control's hopeful smiles turned into the blank stares that only space failure knows. Suddenly, the moon was no longer a symbol of unity, it became a mirror, reflecting how fragile our progress truly is. The most advanced minds, the most expensive machines, the most precise calculations, all undone by gravity, timing, or a single faulty sensor. And this wasn't a single nation's heartbreak. This was everyone's reminder that even in 2025, even with AI-guided landers and billion-dollar investments, we're still children trying to stand on cosmic shores. The moon humbled us again. It reminded the Artemis program that it's not invincible. It reminded China that even precision can't guarantee perfection. But maybe that's what makes it beautiful. For a fleeting moment, a Japanese lander brought the world together. Not in glory, but in grief. And in that shared silence, there was something powerful, something human, a whisper that says, we're not done yet. Because this failure, this crash, it connected us. And so the eyes that watched the moon fall silent. Space, for all its wonder, doesn't run on stardust. It runs on funding, on venture capital, on wire transfers from boardrooms far removed from mission control. And when a lander crashes into the moon, the first tremor isn't felt in the regolith. It's felt in the stock market. In Tokyo, in New York, in the quiet emails investors send with subject lines like, "We should talk." Space isn't just building lunar hardware. It's building investor confidence, slide by slide, pitch by pitch. And confidence, once cracked, is hard to rebuild. You signed a check, believing in that future. And now, that's why this crash matters more than a broken lander. It risks triggering a domino effect of doubt. And when trust wavers, so does the future. One that could set back private lunar exploration by years. But if we stop funding the brave because they failed while daring, we may never get off this rock again. One company's crash can create shockwaves across the entire sector. Newcomers lose momentum, startups lose seed rounds. Even giants like Rocket Lab or Astrobotic feel the echo, because investors are watching closely. Not with wonder, but with calculators. That future is a crater on Mare Frigoris, a $100 million gamble gone silent. Would you invest again? Their first crash in 2023 was forgivable, a learning curve, but their second. That's not just a dent in a prototype. It's a red flag on a balance sheet. Because in the ruthless world of private spaceflight, you're only as good as your last landing. The only thing that keeps the lifeline flowing is belief. Belief that this failure is part of the climb, not the fall. belief that someday these moonshots will become moon landings, and moon landings will become moon industries. And ispace's last landing didn't land at all. Now imagine you're an investor. You sat in a high-res office 6 months ago, watching sleek animations of the Resilience lander descending flawlessly. This isn't just about a space. It's about every private space company on the edge. And the problem? Space doesn't promise fast returns. It's slow, it's expensive, it's failure-prone. But belief is fragile, and it bleeds fast after a crash. If capital dries up, the consequences are brutal. Timelines stall, missions get grounded. Engineers get laid off, and dreams, actual world-changing dreams, get shelved. We don't talk enough about how space isn't just powered by rockets. It's powered by trust. So yes, investors are nervous. And they should be. In the beginning, every rocket launch felt like magic. Every rover that rolled, every satellite that beamed back its first photo, it sparked awe. Space wasn't just science, it was soul. But something has shifted. With each failed mission, each broken lander, each crash that doesn't end in triumph, the silence gets heavier. Not the silence of space, but of people. Fewer eyes on live streams, fewer questions asked, fewer hearts stirred. And that is the bigger danger. This isn't just about budgets or blueprints. It's about belief. It's a belief that we can reach beyond our planet, that we should. But when headlines stop being about discovery and start being about disaster, something inside the audience begins to dim. People tune out. Columnists stop covering. Content creators stop posting. Donations slow. Students stop dreaming. The collective imagination, the very fuel that once drove us to the stars, starts to fade. Quietly, slowly, tragically, every setback is a setup for the next leap. But that message needs to be told. Loudly, repeatedly, emotionally. And if we lose momentum, we might not just miss the next landing. We might miss the next generation of explorers. It's called mission fatigue, and it doesn't happen overnight. It's a drip, a slow erosion, one crash after another. We forget how many missions exist because people cared. Apollo happened because a generation believed. Perseverance landed because people stayed up late to watch it. James Webb launched because millions of eyes demanded it. First Russia's Luna 25, then ispace's Hakuto, Tita, India's Chandrayaan-2. Each failure chips away at public excitement until space becomes just another news story. It's no longer a frontier, just another failure. And when the public stops watching, leaders stop funding. Space programs shrink. Private ventures stall. Suddenly, the pipeline of missions that could have changed everything dries up, not because we couldn't do it, but because we stopped believing it mattered. Because it risks becoming just another failed landing in a long list of silent collapses. Unless we do something different. That's the real loss. Because without public passion, space exploration doesn't just struggle, it suffocates. But now, one more crash, and those eyes may start looking elsewhere. This is why June 5th matters more than most people realize, unless we remind people. Every failure in space is still a step forward. Every crash is data. Guys, if we lose attention, we lose momentum. So if you're watching this video, you're part of the resistance against mission fatigue. You're keeping the fire alive. Don't look away. Look up. The stars are still there, waiting. When the dust of failure settled and the world turned its gaze elsewhere, one voice cut through the silence, not with excuses, not with shame, but with resolve. Space CEO Takeshi Hakamada stood before flashing cameras, global headlines, and millions watching in disappointment. Said only 5 words: "We will try again." The moon doesn't care who tries. It only honors those who refuse to quit. In a space, they were already building Mission 3. Even as the remains of Resilience lie, somewhere shattered across Mare Frigoris, new blueprints are being drawn. Dozens of rockets exploded before Falcon 9 stuck its first landing. The public laughed. The media mocked. But Musk didn't flinch. And now that company launches astronauts like Uber sends cars. The beauty, it's not a war. It's not a Cold War rerun. It's a shared climb. Global pursuit of the same dream, colored in different flags, powered by the same unbreakable will. The story is always the same first. They doubt you. Then, they watch you. And then they cheer you. Engines are being re-engineered. Code is being rewritten, not because of pressure, but because of purpose. He didn't deflect. He didn't blame a sensor or a system. He did something rarer. He owned the fall and promised the climb. It's that moment. That single sentence wasn't just a press statement. It was the spine of every great space story ever told. Because space was never built on perfection, it was built on persistence. This isn't just a company rebuilding hardware, it's a company rebuilding hope. Because what they lost in metal, they've gained in momentum. And they understand something most don't. The moon is not conquered in one glorious leap. It's won in slow, painful, quiet steps through darkness. One failure at a time, one lesson at a time, one launch at a time. Remember the early days of SpaceX? That's the arc of space has entered now. They've embraced it. Because this race, this lunar renaissance is far from over. NASA's coming. China is advancing. India is rising. Can now Japan through a spaces refusing to bow out? So yes, a space fell. Brought. But falling is part of flight. And if you listen closely, you can already hear the countdown starting again. Mission 3 is coming. And maybe next time we won't see a crash wheel, see a crater kissed by wheels. A rover crawling forward, a signal rising through the static, and the words we've all been waiting for. Landing successful. Because space doesn't demand perfection. It only asks one question. Will you try again? Success inspires, but failure teaches. What we saw on June 5th was not just a malfunction, it was a mirror. It showed us the limits of tech, the pressure on private space, the fragility of ambition, and that's why it matters. Because real progress isn't built on easy wins. It's carved from hard losses, and that's the story people need to hear. So what now? The moon still waits. The next lander will rise. The systems will be rechecked. The descent will happen again. But something changed on June 5th. We remembered just how hard space really is. We remembered that behind every glowing render is a room full of nervous engineers. And we remembered that every crater on the moon tells a story, and some of them are ours. If you believe in second chances, if you believe that failure isn't the end, but the beginning, then hit that subscribe button. Because here at the Daily Scope, we don't just cover space. We honor the struggle behind the stars.